What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Variant Live. Now, first things first, I know last week we totally missed an episode, but that's because we were caught up doing some other things for the show, and we just weren't able to be able to do a live episode. But we're hard on working on getting ahead with episodes and doing lots of cool stuff for the summer. So that's the reason why we didn't have Variant Live next last week. But we're back. We're back full force once again, and like always, we got to kick it off with some anime, more specifically Attack on Titan. Now, I know technically this week we should have watched episodes 15 and 16, but since we skipped last week, we're currently still on 13 and 14. So let's talk about that a little bit and then get into all the comic book news for the week because there's quite a bit of it. So I'm gonna have to run through that to to catch up. Anyway, for those of you who haven't seen Attack on Titan, or if you have seen Attack on Titan, just either way, just know there's going to be spoilers galore for the first season of it. Also, if you haven't seen it and you want to see it, you can do that by clicking the link in the description below. The fine people over at Verve, VRV, partnered up with us. We're good friends with them, and you'll get a free 30-day ad-free trial of their premium membership, meaning no commercials or anything like that. And you can watch all sorts of anime on there, like Dragon Ball Super, One Punch Man, My Hero Academia, Attack on Titan. The list goes on and on and on. They also have movies and all kinds of stuff on there. So if you want to watch some Attack on Titan or any anime, link in the description. With that said, episode 13 and 14. So we're at the part where Eren, pretty much, he's a Titan now. He could transform into a Titan, and everyone, all the military police and the scouts are kind of freaked out about it. But the head general is like, "Hey, we're gonna use you, to fight the Titans. Maybe this is what the human race can get ahead with." So that's what they do. They go. Basically, the plan is there's this big boulder that broke down. I think the wall rose, I believe it is. So I think it's, I don't know, one of the walls. I believe it's wall rose. Anyway, there's this massive boulder that only a Titan, like a 50-meter Titan, could pick up. So Aaron tries to pick it up. The first time it didn't go over too well. He eventually, though, at the end, I believe, of episode 12, basically he snaps to, because he basically kind of like just couldn't control his Titan form when he tried to do it the first time, but he snaps to. He's like, "No, I can do this!" In true anime style, all heroic and emotional. He's like, "No, I got this." He does it and puts the big boulder on the barricade, and kind of like saves the day for like that moment in time, right? They're like, "Okay, it's blocked. We're good for now." But the problem is, after that, a lot of people, a lot of the higher ups and generals and like all the military still don't trust him, even though he just like stopped more Titans from coming through and stuff like that. So he's locked up and for pretty much this entire episode, and he's in court, and they're trying to figure out what to do with him. And it's they're talking to all his peers, all the military police, all the higher ups, and it's just very interesting to see, like, even though he proved, like, at this point in time, he's proved like twice that he's just a human who just so happens to have these abilities because apparently his father gave them to him with that shot back a few episodes ago. They do a flashback and it alludes to like, "Hey, yeah, my dad is a doctor scientist thing, and he gave me a shot, and I could turn into a Titan." I don't know, there's more revelations later on for you guys who are currently all the way at season 2, but as of now, that's what we know at this point in time. But even though he's done all this stuff, and he said, "No, I'm human," and he's definitely one of the characters that wants to destroy the Titans the most, and even doing that in Titan form, they're still like, "Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know." But my favorite thing about the series is kind of like, it reminds me of like almost like original Walking Dead days, because I don't watch The Walking Dead anymore. To be honest, I fell off. I just not interested anymore as far as the TV show. I thought the first few seasons were definitely better. But anyway, the main thing about the show that's so compelling is the human interaction. Like, what would happen if, like, it's just always fascinating to me to watch this stuff and see like, well, yeah, what would happen if like huge giants, came in like from another world or whatever, and they're eating us. But like, how would that make us humans? Would we want to fight and all be one and like try to destroy them, or would that make us like turn against each other, like dog eat dog world out there? Like, how would that work out? And this show explores that a lot. I've said it several times. It's it's a really dark show, and the more I watch it, it's just, I don't know. It's really interesting though with that part. I kind of like that, where it's like it explores the dark side of humanity, and then even just the pure, like, the hopelessness a lot of times, which it's kind of, depending what mood you're in, it's kind of like, ah, man, because you just see like moms like get their heads bitten off, and now the baby's an orphan and stuff like that. I feel like ever since I become a father, I'm more of a sap to that kind of stuff. I'm like, but the baby now. That's what happens when you have a kid, guys. You become a sap. But no, I'm loving the show thus far, and I'm excited to see where things progress, because as far as these 2 episodes, he's just kind of been he blocked the wall. He's kind of held up in court, and that's kind of where it stops. So there's not really much more to talk about at this point in time. But I think the way the last episode ended, it seems like we're definitely going to get to a point where they're going to do some more twists and revelations to talk more about more exciting stuff next week. So next week we're going to watch episodes. Where we at 15 and 16. Again, if you don't have a way to watch it or you just want to rewatch it or whatever, link in the description below. Verve 30-day ad-free trial, because us and Verve teamed up just for you guys. So with that said, though, probably one of the biggest things to happen last week in comics, actually the biggest thing that happened last week in comics, has been the long event, DC's Dark Knight's Metal. It finally ended last Wednesday with issue 6 of Dark Knight's Metal. Now, I will say before I get into this, there's going to be spoilers. So if you have not read the finale for Dark Knight's Metal, if you haven't read any of it, you just haven't read any of the issues or whatever, spoilers galore. Spoilers. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I just want to be free to be able to talk about whatever jumps in my head. So if you haven't read Dark Knight's Metal, any of the one-shots, any of the tie-ins, the actual 6-issue series, spoilers. So don't get mad if I spoil something. This is your warning. With that said, off the bat, you guys are probably interested in, like, did you like it? If you follow me on Twitter, you know that I freaking loved it. I really loved it. Now, it wasn't perfect, to elaborate on that. It wasn't perfect by any means. There was lots of little things that, like, they were teasing for a while, and it didn't really, live up to the hype, or they didn't really do anything with it. But overall, I thought it was really fantastic, because it brought a lot of new stuff to the table, and it did answer a lot of questions. It did, on the negative side, there's some stuff, like the first thing off the bat. Let's talk about the negative first. Okay, so off the bat, um, what's his name again? Elongated Man? Not Elongated Man, Plastic Man. Sorry, yes, Plastic Man. I'm thinking of like the Flash, Elongated Man, Plastic Man, Mr. Fantastic. There's so many stretchy comic book characters. Anyway, Plastic Man, though, he was like a big part of Dark Knight's Metal, right? And you see, like, he was an egg, like, pretty much the whole event. Batman got him out, like, one of the earlier issues, and they were carrying the Justice League was carrying him around for a bunch of the issues. It seemed like he was this big, key, huge component. Like, at the end, it's like, oh, he's really gonna, do some stuff and wreck some shop here. But in Metal 6, he does, I believe Green Lantern is one. I was like, hey, we need your help. I believe it was Green Lantern or Flash. I was like, hey, we need your help. And he finally is like, okay. And he turns out of his egg form and finally wrecks shop. He literally, like, turns his hand into like a big great white shark, then like a dinosaur, then I think like a train, and it's awesome. But it's literally like one page. That's it. So, like, we've been hearing about him. He's been teased for this whole series for, like, what, like 6 months, maybe 7 months. I think it's even longer than that, like almost a year, because there's been delays with this series. And all we get is that one page. We get like that one setup with, like, hey, we could really use your help here by, like, Green Lantern. I believe it's Green Lantern. And then we just get one page, and that's it. And then you don't even really see him in, like, the rest of the issue. So I was like, okay, all right. Well, then why was he built up so much and constantly being shown and teased and mentioned? Fine. So that was one of they had several stuff like that they kind of built up, and nothing. It didn't really go anywhere. But on the positive side, this story brought a lot of new things to the table. So, for one, at the very end of the comic, we see, in the epilogue, we see that Bruce, after, they defeat Barbados, however you want to pronounce his name, once they defeat him in the Dark Universe, he invites everyone over to his house for like an after party celebration thing at Wayne Manor, right? And at the very end, they're talking and they're celebrating, but they're like, oh, we got a bigger threat now. He's like, oh, but I have a plan. And then he brings just Wonder Woman and Superman into the next room, and you see blueprints for the Hall of Justice, like literally like the OG Hall of Justice, like Super Friends Hall of Justice, like, and you see it drawn out on the blueprints. So, we've had the Watchtower in DC Comics for a long time now and stuff, but we're finally getting the Hall of Justice back in the comics, which is really cool. Even bigger reveal than that, which is a massive reveal. You guys know Source Wall, right? Like, that's the end of the DC universe, right? So I talk about like the One Above All and all these crazy, like, omnipotent characters in the DC universe and stuff like that, and how like the source itself and like the source wall is like the end of it and like end all be all, right? Source wall, because of this event, was broken open, just wreck shop, meaning the DC universe, as we know, all the 52 Earths now, I guess, is infinite again, and there's things outside where like infinite Earths again, and there's things outside of it that we don't even know, and there's this massive, huge threat coming. Hence, things like No Justice coming up, where people like Darkseid and Brainiac, massive villains for the DC universe, are like, oh no, all us villains and heroes, we need to team up because whatever's behind that wall is coming and it's not good. So like I don't even know what they're gonna have in store for that. But also what's crazy, I'm kind of jumping around a bit, sorry, but I'm just trying to get through all the big reveals as I remember them. Also in Metal 6, as you guys know, if you guys read the Batman Who Laughs one shot, which was by far I think most of you would agree the best one shot in the series, maybe even definitely even just the best issue in all the series. Even if you're talking about the main series, I just really love it. It's like an Elseworld book. I love that stuff. Not the point. In that comic, they showed the Batman Who Laughs had a guy who's bandaged up, right? And everyone was like, "Oh, is it Alfred? Is it maybe like another version of Nightwing? Who the heck is it?" We had all these theories, and I talked about those theories in past episodes. We finally see who that is, and it actually was the Overmonitor. Yes, the freaking Overmonitor. So it's kind of funny. I've heard other people talking about it, and I didn't want to say it, but it's kind of true. Like this metal event was almost like a crisis event without the name crisis, because you have like this epic scale thing. You have the dark multiverse. You have the Overmonitor. They broke through the source wall, so it's almost like no, it's like a crisis event. You just called it something else. It was a good story overall. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was one of the best finales I've read for an issue. But like that, like I just said, now you have the source wall open, and that's gonna lead to all kinds of stuff. And what's crazy, if you when you read the issue, when you see how it's busted open now because one of the energy blasts or whatever, there was this gold hand coming through it, and we don't know what that is. There's speculation. Like me initially, I was like, is that the one above all? Like, are they? Because we haven't seen him in a while in the DC universe. I'm like, is that him? Is he coming through? Or like, or is that like us? Like, as in like the readers and like the creators? Because the source wall is open, so that's like it could be anything. So I'm very curious to see where they're going. But as you guys know, they're transitioning out of DC Rebirth and now into the DC universe, and they're introducing a bunch of new characters and a bunch of new concepts, a lot of which they tease at the end of that issue. Like apparently, like I guess new versions of Green Lanterns or evil Green Lanterns. Uh, they show like little clips of Wally West Flash and Barry Allen, alluding to Flash War that's about to start and all that stuff. So there's lots. This is definitely an issue that you would have to read twice if you want to catch everything. But it was definitely good. And one of my favorite things about the issue in general, because again, it wasn't perfect, but what really made me enjoy it so much is if you guys have read it, you guys know throughout Hawkman was narrating it and is telling about the story of Barbados and the dark and stuff like that. But in this issue, he starts, little captions and him narrating is to the light and how the hero, he's like, the story I forgot to tell was how the heroes will save the day and all that stuff. And then you see Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman, and then eventually the whole Justice League, and not like in 10th metal. So that's another cool thing too. Like there was like a new metal revealed in this issue, and they're all covered in it, so that it's like they look like metal, like knights and all that stuff. And then the way Scott Snyder wrapped it up, he like literally ended the issue with like, with the word metal. The way he integrated it just flowed perfectly with the stories, like it was metal. So it was a really good event. I enjoyed it. I know there was some stuff that was okay. I wouldn't say it's perfect at all, but it's definitely, as far as a Batman event, it's one of the Batman events I like the most in recent years. That's for dang sure. As far as like a Batman event that crosses over to like everything, not like a solo Batman event, like the Court of Owls or Death in the Family. Those are kind of self-contained to the Batman books. This was like, kind of going into a little bit of everything because the Justice League was full on it. They had Hawkman was heavily in it. But there's lots of cool stuff. Oh, and at the end of the issue, yeah, Martian Manhunter is now on the Justice League again. Hawkgirl and Hawkman, all that cool stuff. So the league's opened up. We got the Hall of Justice. source wall's broken. I'm sure there's some stuff I missed. I should have maybe made cliff notes, but it was a really fun read. If you guys haven't read it, I do recommend to read it, especially if you plan on reading DC stuff from here going forward. You're gonna want to know what happened to see where we're going and why we're going that way. But I would give Metal as a whole, or I guess I would give this issue, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. Metal as a whole, I'd give it probably an 8 out of a 10. Because I really, really liked the villain one shots, the alternate versions of Batman, and since the evil Batman doppelgangers, whatever you want to call them, the Bruce's gone rogue. I really like those a lot. Those are really fun. And if you guys want to check those out, all the origin, we have every single origin for all the Dark Knights on our channel on a playlist, so you can check that out later if you want to get caught up what's going on with DC as of late. But let's move on. Doomsday Clock 4 also came out. Another huge event going on right now. I will say Metal definitely overshadowed it this week. I thought it was the better issue. It was also the finale, so that's a big thing. But I've been enjoying Doomsday Clock a lot. But I will say issue 4, I did think was a little bit of a weak issue. I think by now, I know for me personally, uh it seemed like going into Doomsday Clock, like it was going to tie in a lot with the DC heroes. Don't get me wrong, Lex Luthor has been in it thus far, Batman has been in it a little bit, Superman I think was in it once, but that's about it. So it's more of just a Watchmen sequel, which Jeff Johns did say that's what it's going to be. But at the same time, Dr. Manhattan was such a big part of DC Rebirth, in the sense you see like his hand, you see his head from time to time, his head, or just uh um like people saying Manhattan or Doctor, and like just references and teases to him, to where he's the one who messed up the New 52 and all that stuff. Like, even on the Rebirth cover of that one shot that started this everything, all the Justice League is like reaching out to like the blue hand, Dr. Manhattan. And we haven't seen much of the DC universe interacting with the Watchmen yet. Now we're in issue 4. It's a 12-issue miniseries, so I mean we got eight issues left. We're not even halfway, so I'm not saying that's not going to happen. I'm getting kind of weary. I'm like, come on, man, because this issue 4, it was good. It wasn't like the best issue. It wasn't my favorite issue. It was, actually, being honest, was probably my least favorite issue thus far. Out of the 4 that's been released, it's probably my least favorite. It was an origin of the new Rorschach. Again, spoilers, 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 spoilers. I won't get into much detail, but I will say, again, spoilers, we have a new Rorschach in this series. Obviously, the original Rorschach dead, gone. The original Watchmen, Dr. Manhattan was like, because he was like, yo, kill me. I can't live in a world that's based on a lie. Kill me. And he killed him. But now we got a new Rorschach, and we get who his name is, we get his origin, we know who his parents are, we get backstory of why he became Rorschach, how he escaped, why he's now in jail, because if you read the last issue, Batman basically locked him up. And it gets into that, which is cool. It's definitely there's no real action in this issue, which is fine. I mean, I love story as well. It's just it didn't really entertain me that much. I don't know, personal preference. I just thought this was definitely the weakest issue of the series thus far. But I'm still excited for the series, and what I'm really really excited for is I just want to see DC characters interact with Watchmen characters. Like we see it a little bit, but not nearly as much as I'd want. Like we saw Batman and Rorschach interact a little bit. We've seen Superman, but he didn't really interact with anyone from Watchmen yet. Lex Luthor has interacted, I believe, with Ozymandias a little bit, and the comedian, but it's like pages here and there. So I just want that to be amped up. I want that amped up, because that was like one of the big draws for me. Like, don't get me wrong, I've been liking it thus far, but I want more of that, and I want answers to what Dr. Manhattan's true involvement is with the New 52 and DC Rebirth. I want it. I want answers, people. I want it, like I'm sure many of you do. But I did like the issue. I thought it was the weakest one thus far. But I do still think you guys should read it, because this is another one where it's like, whether it's one of those events where whether you're going to like it or not, it's going to be important to where you're going forward. But I think at the end, once you get to issue 12, I mean, Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, I mean, I don't think this is going to be bad. And it's not bad. I'm just saying this is the weakest issue thus far. But I think by the end, we're going to have a payoff. Jeff Johns rarely, if ever, lets down, and Gary Frank's art is amazing. So I am still very excited to see where this series is going. With that said, let's move out of a little bit of actually, no, let's stay with comic books, because there's one more bit of comic book news I do want to talk about. We're going to jump over to Marvel a little bit. It's actually in the title of this episode, Fantastic Four. They're back, people. They are back. As of now, we have a Human Torch, and I believe Human Torch and Thing 2-in-1 issue that's coming out, but that's only half of Fantastic Four. We want the other two. We want Mr. Fantastic, and we want Invisible Woman. And we're getting it back this August. Marvel's first family is back in full force. It's about dang time. Is it coincidental that Disney now owns Fox, meaning they have Fantastic Four? So now we're getting a Fantastic Four comic? I think not. I think not at all. So I'm just happy. I'm happy that we're getting Fantastic Four comics back again. Those were one of the comics I read a lot growing up. I used to tell the story all the time. Like what got me really into comics as far as reading them was when I would go to Barnes and Nobles with my dad and he would like work and read there. I would go off to the trade paperback section and read all like the golden age and silver age like collections and stuff. And Fantastic Four was definitely one of the ones I always liked because it was colorful, it was fun. Jack Kirby art, Doctor Doom, all that great stuff, Silver Surfer. So I'm very excited that it's going to be back in August. And guess who's writing it? Guess who's writing it? Yes, Dan Slott will be writing the Fantastic Four. I know I'm excited. I like Dan Slott. I know his Spider-Man run towards the end or halfway. I mean, he wrote Spider-Man for 10 years, but towards the end was a little wishy-washy, I guess you could say. But I do like him overall. I'm excited to see what because the one thing I will say about Dan Slott is he loves like the characters he works on. Like if he's doing a book, I know he really likes that character. So like when he did the Silver Surfer, he was like super excited about Silver Surfer. I remember I went to C2E2 and I was sitting front row at a panel and before the panel even started, he was just so excited about Silver Surfer. He was like talking to me and everyone I was with about the book just because he was excited to be working on Silver Surfer. So I know that means, if he's on a book, he's really excited about it. So I'm curious to see where he's going to be doing. Curious to see what he's going to be doing with it. Who's going to be drawing the book is Sarah Pacelli. She's a fantastic artist, so I'm excited for that. I'm curious to see what this creative team is going to do. But Marvel as a whole, they're getting all new creative teams, and I think Black Panther starting at #1 as well. We're getting a new Avengers book starting at #1. I've said it before. I'm kind of jaded about how everything's kind of starting over. Marvel, I feel like reboots like every 6 months. It's because there's stuff like Marvel Now and all that stuff. It just wasn't working. Hence, only one of their books being in the top 10 selling comics every month. But I just hope I'm hopeful. I love Marvel. I do love Marvel. So I just hope they figure it out this time around finally, and we get some good stories, good characters, and stuff we're all excited to read every month. With that said, let's get out of comics and talk a little bit about some TV and or movies. First thing up, Krypton. I was going to talk about this last week, but we didn't have Variant Live last week. So Krypton. The big question is, hey, Arris, did you like it? They're 2 episodes in. How are you feeling about it? I like it. I will say I've only watched the first episode. I have the other one recorded on my DVR. I haven't watched the second episode, although I have seen headlines of people saying by the second episode, Adam Strange feels more like Booster Gold. So I can't judge that yet because you only see him a little bit in the first episode. I haven't watched the second episode yet. But I did like the first episode. I definitely want to keep watching it. I thought what got me is you know me. I've been saying forever that I was like I'm not excited to watch a show about Superman's like grandfather. Like it's not even like his father Jor-El. It's like his grandfather. Like why? And they kind of sold me on why in the sense because even outside of the actual show, if you guys watched the premiere after it, they had like a 10-minute spiel with like Jeff Johns and like Goyer and all that stuff, people who were involved in the show and like why they even made the show. So the way they spun it like completely sold me on it. And even after watching, I'm like, yeah, I guess that makes sense because they're kind of looking at it like this aspect of Superman's mythos has never been explored really, like not in the comics, not in cartoons, not in TV, not in the movies, anything. So they're like, basically, this gives them a blank canvas to do whatever the heck they want because unlike adapting The Killing Joke or like The Death of Superman, where we've already had an iconic version of that and something to judge it off of, we have nothing to judge it off. So basically, they can do whatever, and we can't be like that's not like the comics because it hasn't been in the comics. They can do whatever they want. So I think that's kind of smart on their part because all they have to do is make it good and we're gonna like it because we're not gonna be like that's not like the comics. That doesn't happen like that because it never happened before, or at least not on this scale. So I think that is actually a really cool, unique approach. And as long as they keep the show entertaining and good stories, we're all gonna love it. So with that said, I did think the whole vibe of Krypton was really cool. What's funny is this show kind of reminded me, judging off the first episode alone. Remember, I've only seen the first episode. It kind of gave me like a Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek vibe, like because where CW is, very much grounded on like real world sets, or just the real world. They'll fight in like streets and alleys, or like a science lab. This is all like on another Earth. So like the CGI is like constant, the sets are constant, and I kind of like that because it gives that bigger sci-fi feel, which is why I kind of related to Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica. And I think that's really cool. And just like how they're Kryptonian, so how they act with one another is not like how we act with one another. So they even come up with like different lingo. There's different ways of going about life. The way they mate is different. There's different rankings. Like it's in the society. So all that stuff I think is really cool, and depending on where they go for it, could be awesome. I like how we're gonna apparently see how the Zods are are attached, or how they kind of had their rivalry with like the L's, the House of L, and all that stuff. So I'm very curious. I think it has promise. We obviously they alluded to Brainiac a little bit. But we haven't seen anything yet, which kind of disappointed me. Maybe they've seen it. You guys seen it in second episode. I haven't watched that yet, so I don't know. The one thing I will say I thought was kind of weak was again, spoilers. When Adam Strange, is telling all this, is explaining how everything works. Like he's like, "Hey, your grandson is like Earth's champion, and you got to save him." And he brought his cape, and it's kind of like fading. Like basically it's like an hourglass. It's like the more this disappears, the less time you have to save the world. And it kind of just reminded me of like Back to the Future. When Marty has that picture of his family, and it's like he's like, if your sister and siblings and parents disappear, that means you're screwing up. But if they're still there, you're saving the day. I'm like, that's a little, I don't know, a little like nitpick I have. But overall, I mean, again, I've only seen the first episode, so I'm digging it. I definitely didn't think it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, because you guys know I was pretty much like, oh, I don't want to see a show. Like I said, I was like, it's Superman's grandfather. Cool, great, yeah. But I mean, it kind of got me with the hook and the way they explained it and the way they're kind of doing it thus far. So I'm gonna give it like at least like 5 episodes. I'll give it like 5 episodes. If I still like it after 5 episodes, fantastic. That means I'll probably just watch the series regularly. If I don't like it after 5 episodes, I'm gonna fall off, because let's face it, there's too many good movies and shows to watch on Netflix and HBO and Showtime to be wasted to be giving 45 minutes a week to something that's crap. So let's hope it doesn't turn into that. Also, jumping out of that's my thoughts on that. Last thing I want to talk about before I do Q&A is last week that we got a new Deadpool 2 trailer. And I know you guys probably want me to, Elisa, touch on Deadpool 2's new trailer. I think it looks awesome. I'm so excited for Deadpool 2. I'm a massive Deadpool fan. And Ryan Reynolds fan. So I'm just very, very excited. The fact that they outright mentioned and you see X-Force members in this new trailer was amazing. And how he even does this. And then what's funny about that is Gal Gadot, girl plays the woman who plays Wonder Woman, one on Twitter. It was like Ryan Reynolds or Deadpool stole my move, because she does that with her bracelets. So they had like an actual banter on Twitter, like jokingly, of course. They weren't actually mad at each other, but it was just really funny to see that. And Deadpool is the total type of character that you could actually play that up with on Twitter and stuff, because fourth wall, that's what he does. So I'm very excited for it. I mean, there's nothing really much for me new to say about Deadpool, because I already talked about the first two teaser trailers. It looks awesome. I'm gonna see it. Of course, I'm gonna review it. And of course, for all of you wondering, yes, there will be a history of Cable. Yes, there will be a history of Domino, and probably something on X-Force, because I know you all love you some X-Force just like me. But with that said, let's open this up to some Q&A, and then we'll wrap it up until this Wednesday's episode, which, since you guys are watching, I'll give you the inside scoop, is going to be the top 10 best Marvel Cinematic Universe fights thus far. Yes, we were racking our brains, and we brought it down to 10, and I think it's going to be really, really, really fun. It's actually, I've been having a lot of fun working on it and going through all the video clips and rewatching the fights. And it's a nice way to kind of get ready for Infinity War. So this Wednesday, MCU fights coming at you. But with that said, Q&A. Let's see. Who am I gonna answer first? Let's excuse me, Don. Oh, yeah, that's right. So George Tinker says, "Excuse me, Donner." But I think you're referring to, I did want to touch on that because I forgot. It's been like 2 weeks since I've seen it. The one thing I did like about Krypton, not to really go back to it, but I just want to touch on this real quick, is that they used the actual Superman theme, the John Williams Superman theme. Now, it wasn't John Williams' actual score, but they were playing his score. The bum, 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 like every time they showed the S, and it was amazing. So good on you, Krypton. Good on you. All right, let's see. The Greek Chinook says, "Death of Superman animated movies." Yes, I saw that. They actually, this week, they released a 6-minute teaser, I believe, of it, like an exclusive first look. And it looks really cool. Now, I'm kind of shocked a little bit, because I thought they were literally just going to redo the Death of Superman, like kind of adapt it like they did the Dark Knight Returns, like they did the Killing Joke, like just straight up adapt it. But they're basically doing the Death Superman story within their animated Justice League universe. So it's the Death of Superman story, but it's not going to be like the comic at all. I'm sure they'll pull some things here and there, but it's literally within that universe they built, with like Batman and Son stuff, the Justice League War, and all those movies. So Doomsday looks awesome though. So I'm excited, and it's a DC animated movie. Of course, I'm gonna watch that. And I also know the new Suicide Squad movie is. I think it's already out on digital. I haven't watched it yet. I'll probably watch it when it's soon, or when it's released on Blu-ray. For all of you wondering, because I'm sure someone was wondering in there. And then I'll give you my thoughts on the new Suicide Squad animated movie once I watch that. Probably within the next 2 weeks or so. All right. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Miguel Combs says, "Do you think Red Skull will come back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe?" Yes, I've actually talked about that before, because in Captain America: First Avenger, he doesn't die per se. He just kind of gets sucked out by like the cosmic cube. You don't really see him die. So I think there's a good my theory with this movie is that I think they least I think that it would be smart for this movie to fix the Marvel villain problem. The Marvel villain problem being that they just have one and done villains. They have an awesome villain, kill him at the end of the movie. Awesome villain, kill him at the end of the movie. With this movie, Infinity Stones or stuff, Infinity Gauntlet, you could bring back a bunch of characters who are dead or got sucked away, like Red Skull. So I think, because they've said, some actors said there's like 70 plus characters in the movie. So I'm like, maybe you're bringing back some villains to, fill in that 70, because like there's not 70 Avengers. Like, no way. So maybe I hope so. I hope we get some of the villains we missed back in the MCU. I'm very curious. Although I will say, I should have brought this up earlier. Earlier today, the Russo brothers said that us as fans should be scared of what the Avengers 4 title is. Yes. So if you don't know, the reason why they haven't released the Avengers 4 title is because it's a spoiler for Infinity War. Then the Russo brothers went on Twitter today to say we should be scared of what the title is, which would imply bad things. Death, everyone dies, key members die, everything's changing. I mean, that's kind of one of the taglines, I guess, in the thing. I hope they're just not hyping it up though. But the way this movie is being like marketed is like, this is gonna change everything. Like, our minds are gonna be, we're either gonna be cry after the movie because we're like, what's gonna happen now? Everyone's dead. So we're like 3 weeks out, and I just want to see it. I just want to stop talking about it and stuff. I just want to see it so I could talk to you guys about what's actually happening. The hype is so real, it's not even funny. I want to see this movie so bad. It's insane. Okay, all right. Let's see. Jerry says Galactus versus Godzilla. Galactus all day long, all the days long. I mean, he's the conqueror of worlds. Godzilla's on a world, so if he conquers the world and Godzilla's on it, yum 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 yum. Come yum yum. By Godzilla. Lo Wang says Flash War. I believe, I know we got the prequel issue for it. I don't believe the first issue is out yet. I think that's soon, because I know they just released an issue of Flash last week. I don't think we're in Flash War yet. They were waiting for after DC Metal, because it's actually like a tease, like I said earlier, in one of the panels back there. So once it's out, I'll obviously talk about it, because Flash is one of my favorite superheroes. So once that starts coming out in full force, the channel will start diving into that. Let's see. Jermaine Young, hey, do a Sonic the Hedgehog episode. I've toyed around with doing like a Sonic versus Flash episode just because it would be funny. So I don't know. Maybe in the future, if enough people want it, I mean, sure. I like Sonic the Hedgehog growing up. So if you guys want it. Mantis 23, Taco Bell. You son of a bee. You know my weakness. I'm not going to get into it, but I will say I love me some Taco Bell. If you guys don't know, just the last Variant Live, I went on a long rant. I love Taco Bell. That's all you need to know. If you guys ever want to make me happy, just send Taco Bell gift cards. That's all you need to know. Taco Bell gift cards. So it's my guilty pleasure, and it's not kind to my stomach, but it's yummy. All right. I'm gonna answer 2 more questions, and I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Zed Wayne, the Flashverse Roadrunner. Let's see. Shane says New Gods movie. That's right. I haven't talked about that yet, and that's actually old news. I forgot to talk about that. Sorry, guys. Yes, we're getting a New Gods movie. We're getting a New Gods movie, and apparently, it's being directed by the woman that did. Tim, what's the lady directing the new Patty? No, it's not Patty Jenkins. That's Wonder Woman. The, no. She just directed A Wrinkle in Time. Okay, well, I got the internet. Let's see. Wait, does anyone in the comments know who's directing New Gods? I'm sure some of you know, so I don't have to. I'll just Google it. New Gods movie. Let's see. Oh, Ava DuVernay. I probably butchered her name, but anyway, she's directing New Gods, and apparently she's really excited about it. She's gonna apparently the way she's acting about it on social media, because I do remember reading some of that stuff, is she's gonna go like full on like Jack Kirby on it. So I'm very curious. I mean, of course, I want to see all the New Gods like Darkseid and all that stuff, and Steppenwolf would be in there. Orion would be in there. Uh, Mother Goodness and all that stuff, but I don't know. I feel like I'd rather get like before we expand too much. I rather like get like a solid like core character movies, like a solid Flash movie, a solid uh Batman movie within this universe, a solid Green Lantern core movie. Like I want those first. Shazam and stuff. I know they're currently doing that, but before we start going out too much, I want core Justice League members and stuff like that. Heck, I'd rather a Teen Titans movie over a New Gods movie. I know that would be amazing. I know we're getting the live action series, but come on, man. Imagine a live action Teen Titans series or Teen action movie done good. It'd be amazing.
They need to fix the problems they have.
All right. One more question though, and I'm gonna get out of here. Almighty So 300 says talk about Doomsday Clock. I did earlier on, so you could rewind or rewatch later. I talked about Doomsday Clock issue 4 for about like 5 or so minutes. So you just go back after this and watch that. But again, one more question, and then I'm gonna wrap this up. Tim Fake. Do you enjoy the Flash TV show? It's actually probably my favorite superhero TV show. I think so. It's in the sense like I realize it's probably not the best, like the most well produced or like the best looking, but I have the most fun watching it. So I'm pretty sure Daredevil's pretty good though too. I don't know. It's up there. It's definitely one of my favorites. I'm most excited to watch Flash every single week. So yes, of course, I love the Flash TV show. With that said, though, I still haven't watched the last 2 episodes, and it kind of spoiled for me what happened with Arris and maybe the Speed Force the last episode before they took a break. But it's on my DVR. I'll watch it. I've been catching up on. I've been so preoccupied on the road to WrestleMania. I know this is off topic, but I know a lot of you guys probably watch WWE WrestleManias this weekend. So I've been watching Raw and SmackDown every week. That way, I know what's going to happen to John Cena and Nakamura and everything this weekend. But with that said, guys, remember next week to watch. This week for next week to watch episodes 15 and 16 of Attack on Titan season 1. If you don't have a way to do that, link is in the description below. If you click it and sign up, you get a free 30-day ad-free trial because the guys at Verve and Variant love you guys. But until next time, see you guys.